Hey everyone, and welcome to this $1,400 stimulus check update, third stimulus package update. Earlier this morning, like really early this morning, the House passed the stimulus bill, the American Rescue Plan that Joe Biden's been putting together and touting for the past couple of months, has finally been put together and passed by the House of Representatives. So that all means that we're getting $1,400 checks, right? Well, no, not exactly. See, there's a little more to it. See, unfortunately, there's a little more to it, and it's going to include a lot more of Washington lawmakers fighting against each other. Isn't that our favorite topic? And like two bickering parents that think they have the best in mind for their kids. They're on complete opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of what they think are good for the American people. So we're going to get into that, look at what deadlines are ending soon, and why this thing needs to get passed before the March 14th deadline, and also the creativity that lawmakers that may or may not get into to try and get this stimulus bill passed. Hey everyone, my name's Randy. Welcome back to the Late Night Grind. I'm covering these stimulus package updates and stimulus check updates right now because it's of great interest to myself. So if you are new to the channel and you want to follow along, all you got to do is click that subscribe button below, and don't forget to tap the bell notification icon, and YouTube will notify you when I release a new video. And I do that when I get some new information. And for my current subscribers, a big thank you and a big shout out to you guys. You guys have been doing an awesome job of smashing that like button. So go ahead, keep on doing it. And if you're new to the channel and want to support it, best thing you can do, smash that like button too. All right, well, let's get into it. So earlier this morning, like I said, the House of Representatives, which is the first part of passing a bill, passed the stimulus bill. It was passed by a vote of 219 to 212, so not that many votes separated them. Democrats could not afford to lose more than 4 votes in order for that to actually pass, but they did. So why aren't we going to be getting $1,400 stimulus checks, along with extended unemployment, $400 per week unemployment benefits, expanded child tax credit checks, and a whole host of other things that the stimulus bill is going to pay for? Well, see, in order for this to actually be passed, the House of Representatives has to pass the bill. Then they send it to the Senate. The Senate needs to pass that bill. Then it gets sent to the president to sign. Well, here's the problem. The Senate parliamentarian actually took a look at the $15 per hour minimum wage hike, which is what Democrats tried to include in this law, and determined that it couldn't actually be added to this bill because they're going through a process known as reconciliation. So the Senate can't actually pass a minimum wage hike. Well, what happened was the House of Representatives, they were so stubborn and said, well, we're going to write it into this bill anyway, and we're going to pass it on our end. In fact, Nancy Pelosi basically just said, what happens in the Senate is of no concern of mine, and so what we're doing right now is passing this bill with $15 an hour minimum wage because we're going to get it passed. And the House did. But herein lies the problem. The Senate has to vote on a bill that will pass, but they'll have to get creative about doing it. Because here's the options. In order for this to get passed, the Senate will have to vote on it, and if it gets passed, it won't have the $15 per hour minimum wage in it. If that's the case and the Senate actually passes it, they have to pass it right back to the House, and the House has to re-vote on it, which means that's going to take probably a couple extra more days, possibly a week of who knows what, before they would actually pass it, and then it would get sent to Joe Biden for signature. The other thing Democrats have been talking about is trying to get really creative, or finding creative ways to implement this $15 per hour minimum wage phase-up plan. Chuck Schumer basically said they're looking into writing language into the bill that would basically penalize large companies if they don't continue to raise minimum wage on their employees during certain time periods of the phase-up. So essentially enacting a $15 an hour minimum wage mandate without actually calling it a federal minimum wage raise. But not only that, Republicans are starting to get in on this creativity too. There have actually been several lawmakers, including Tom Cotton, Mitt Romney, that have proposed their own minimum wage hike, but it's only to $10 or $11 an hour, and Democrats want to see much higher than that. Another Republican Senator, Josh Hawley, just a couple of other days, proposed his own version, where basically blue-collar workers making under $16.25 an hour would essentially get a per-hour bonus. If they make less than $16.25 an hour on their tax returns, they would then receive an hourly bonus for all the hours they worked, up to about $4,600 per year. Those would then get paid out to the workers in the forms of tax credits on a quarterly basis, which would come to about $1,100 or $1,200 per quarter. Now, people are starting to get really creative with these things, but as it pertains to the stimulus plan, there's really only 2 ways they can do it. The Senate has to vote and approve something that can't include the federal minimum wage raise or get creative with the language. In any case, you're probably looking at another week or 2 of debating, deliberating, trying to get creative with the language, and who even knows if that would pass at all. The easiest thing for them to do would be to strip out the $15 minimum wage, because we know it's not going to pass Joe Manchin, Kristen Sinema, and possibly others, because the Senate parliamentarian said it couldn't be added. At least those two will not vote for it, which means this stimulus package is dead in the water until they agree on something. Once they do, then they can sign it and send it back to the House of Representatives so they can sign it and send it to Joe Biden. Once that happens, now we're looking at time frames of when $1,400 stimulus checks could be sent out. Right now, we're looking at a deadline of March 14th, because that's when some unemployment benefits end. Right now, $300 per week unemployment benefits are going out to everybody on state unemployment benefits. Now, after that date, those extra benefits will end, cutting off, I believe, over 16 million people. Democrats do not want that on their hands. They want their plan, which calls for $400 a week payments, to be enacted. But in order to do that, Joe Biden's going to have to sign it by March 14th. It's going to come down to that deadline, more or less. Now, they may actually get through this very quickly, which would downright shock me if they do anything quickly. But they may actually do it. They have a couple of weeks, but you know what? There's a lot of American people that don't have a couple more weeks. I can read by the comments in all of these videos, but there are a lot of people that are counting on this money now, that where they live, unemployment is just too high and opportunities just are not there yet until the economy continues to fully open up. If you go to the community tab on my channel, I put out all kinds of different polls where I ask you guys questions. You guys do a phenomenal job of participating in that. So I'm going to ask you to do it again. Go to the community tab. I'm putting up a question right now, a poll. And I'm basically just asking you guys your opinion. Do you think that this will actually get passed by the Senate? Will it include some sort of hourly wage raise or some sort of phased up plan for $15 an hour, kind of going the creative route? Or do you think they're going to have to strip it out altogether and get this thing passed without it? Let me know what you think in the comments section below. I'd love to hear what you guys think. Not just what you think Washington's going to do, but your opinion on it based on some real world experiences. Or if you think something like $10 an hour, $11 an hour is something a little more feasible for businesses right now. So I appreciate you guys watching this video. And like I said, if you are new to this channel, please consider subscribing. I put out stimulus updates like this pretty much on a daily basis. And I do that to kind of show the whole storyline kind of from beginning until when this thing actually gets passed, just to show kind of all the different phases of how Congress works. And honestly, it's just really fascinating to me. This is an incredible time in history with the pandemic that we just experienced, not just national, but global economic fallout, and kind of how government works. It's really interesting to see for myself. So I hope you guys have been learning a little bit as we go along, just the same as I have. And so if you have, again, go ahead, smash that thumbs up button. I'd really, really appreciate it. It really helps out with that YouTube algorithm. Basically what that does is anytime you're involving yourself in a video, like giving a thumbs up or commenting or subscribing, it basically sends a note to YouTube that says this video is really relevant to me and to the topic that I'm interested in. And so what YouTube does then is it takes this video and it starts showing it to different audiences that might be interested in the same topic. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you guys on the next one.